Well, welcome. Thank you for attending today. Beautiful day in Burlington's waterfront. We're here today to share an example of what happens when multiple stakeholders come together with the challenges and the opportunities and the ideas and commitment that our nonprofits, our business owners, our government, and our farmers can all come together. I want to thank the restaurant owners who we all know are struggling tremendously in this moment. Many of their businesses are closed, and we are certainly pulling for their opportunity to be reopened and succeed. But there are some who during the closed time saw the opportunity of their resources as a way to use their kitchen, their food prep capacity, their knowledge, and their staff to then offer and lend a hand in feeding hungry Vermonters who are really struggling under the COVID economic situation. We want to thank the nonprofit agencies in Vermont who stepped up very quickly, the Food Bank and Hunger Free Vermont, who joined and shared their knowledge in identifying, and reaching food insecure Vermonters. I want to thank Vermont farmers who joined the effort and offered their products and experience to support and ensure that their neighbors have healthy meals. I want to thank legislators, we're going to hear from a couple of them, who listened to this need and they stood up and took those ideas, talked to their colleagues, acted quickly, and found a way to identify resources to apply to the challenge of our restaurants and our hungry Vermonters. What began as a mutual aid effort quickly grew into a model to be replicated around the state. This resulted in a $5 million targeted allocation of CARES relief funding to activate local foods to feed Vermonters. These funds have the capacity to provide 18,500 meals each week through the end of this year in order to help food insecure Vermonters all across the state and support our restaurant workers, farmers, and the food production industry. Here to tell you more about the program and the work of the legislature in dedicating these resources is Representative Jean OSullivan. Please welcome Jean. We're going to switch the mic beforehand between each speaker. Excuse me.
Hi. Are we hearing? Oh, good. So let me introduce myself. I'm Representative Jean OSullivan. You are actually in a portion of my district. I'm Chittenden 6-2. I am Vice Chair of House Commerce. And this is a story about how legislation gets done if you work collaboratively with really great ideas. So Representative Byron, folks from Skinny Pancake, my spectacular daughter who's here from California, we're all on a conference call talking about the shift meals and the program. She came to me and said what a great idea it was. We're on the literally last day of the legislative session. We are marking up the bill that we're going to write finally and vote on Thursday. And I look to my chair and my ranking member and I say, I don't know the name of the program, but Representative Byron does. We need to put money somewhere for them and make sure this happens. And when it goes to the Senate, we'll call Lieutenant Governor Dave Zuckerman because it was Dave leading the charge in the state. So called the representative. He then gathered all the players that needed to be talked to. That next morning, there in front of my committee, we allocated $5 million. We wrote it in the final bill and passed it that day, and it went on as a floor amendment. That's what this does. There are 3 sectors in need: farmers, restaurants, and 70,000 unemployed and underemployed Vermonters. This is the kind of economic development we want to do. We are taking dollars that are going to local farmers, going right through restaurants and helping them in need, and then going to the food insecure. I'm so pleased and proud this program is going forward, and I'm so proud of how the process worked. So at this point, I want to introduce my colleague, Representative Matt Byron, who will tell you, who is both a representative instrumental in getting this done, and also a restaurant owner.
Thank you very much, Jean. Again, my name is Matt Byron. I'm a representative from Northwest Addison County, but I am also a restaurant owner who has been active in the local agricultural movement for the better part of 20 years now. So as the COVID situation unfolded, the legislature shut down, we found ourselves working from home on a lot of different levels. We had just shut down my restaurant, Three Squares Cafe, due to the stay-at-home orders impact on our ability to operate. And I found myself on the phone one evening with Lieutenant Governor Zuckerman, and he was spitballing this idea with me about how do we utilize the resources that the closed restaurants, the closed production facilities would have to help capture the product that our local farms and local producers are still going to be producing but have no outlets for, and also identifying the need that we knew was going to occur with those who are food insecure. It was widely known that with the shutdowns and everything, how it was going to impact local economies and local families, a lot of people were going to be in need of food assistance. I'm speaking to this early origin story of this concept with Lieutenant Governor because as governor, this shows an example of very proactive thinking. He is a very forward-thinking, compassionate human being. And in these times, we certainly need forward-thinking leaders as these curveballs that are thrown at us, these unknown factors that are popping up. This is a great example of his ability to be proactive, not reactive. As a restaurant owner, to speak to the industry, how this is going to help out those who are involved in it, we're seeing through reduced capacity, seating capacity, reduced tourism, tremendous drops in revenue. You talk to anybody, there's some are 70% down, 50% down. The numbers are all over the place, but none of these numbers are good. A program like this will do wonderful things to help support people who are food insecure, but it's also going to do amazing things to help support the restaurants that are helping execute the food in order to bring more employees back off of unemployment, sustain the payrolls that we've already committed to, and bringing people back as we open this economy up as responsibly as we can. So I see this as being a really beautiful three-tiered approach: servicing the food insecure, supporting the restaurants and the employees, and also supporting the farms that have also, like, those two components especially have worked very intricately together for years and years and years. We have these relationships, they already exist. So this $5 million allocation of funds is an amazingly well thought out tiered approach to service a need that we knew existed, but honestly it is become bigger than we ever imagined it could be. I want to thank Representative OSullivan also for her willingness to learn about this program and understand it early on, and then capturing the opportunity in not even the 11th hour, it was like the 11th hour and 55th minute of this massive stimulus allocation. So I want to thank her. I want to thank Lieutenant Governor Zuckerman and everybody else involved with this amazing collaboration. And with a key component to that, I'll take that as an opportunity to introduce Michael from Shift Meals, as they are the arm of the project that will be helping facilitate the actual food disbursements and operations. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Michael with the Skinny Pancake. Is that good? Like many Vermont businesses, when COVID struck, we wanted to find a way to be useful, and we decided to do what we do best, which is feed people. We had a large commissary production kitchen, a lot of people that wanted to work, and a lot of farmers and food producers that wanted to continue giving us food and keeping up the supply chain. So we started shift meals. We were able to retain 40 employees at its peak. To date, we've served 50,000 meals in 5 Vermont counties. We've also launched 7 farm and working garden grow sites that'll allow volunteers to work on the land, learn how to grow their own food, and earn their own food security. I want to thank the state for taking notice of our program and very quickly acting and putting this funding into the recently passed CARES Act. And we hope that this pilot program can prove to be a model for not only other restaurants across the state, but hopefully expand nationally, because restaurants are a crucial part of our communities and can continue to be useful during crisis.
I want to thank Joe for his diligent work to keep each of us safe as we continue, all of us, to figure out the steps forward in the COVID world we're living in. I'm going to wrap by saying a few things. In 2006, Vermont launched the Farm to School program. I was chair of House Agriculture when that bill went into effect. And it was about connecting our young students and their food supplies. And in Vermont, we have this incredible connection, and we're very fortunate to have it. And that law actually has been replicated across the country because Vermont led the way with model ideas. Shift meals is another example of an idea from Vermont that can actually be used and replicated in other states across the country. Vermont has this wonderful history of leading with innovative ideas that bring community, government, people, businesses, and nonprofits together. This program recognizes the best of who we are. We're determined, we're creative, we're caring, and we're collaborative. In this particular legislation, 10% of the resources are supposed to be purchased locally. That means at least $200,000 of purchases from local farms. That food is then going to be processed in these restaurants, putting restaurant employees to work, keeping restaurateurs open and their businesses able to get through this crisis, and feeding hungry Vermonters struggling because of their own family's economic circumstances brought on by COVID. With these purchases from farms, that's going to be helping those farms pick up on what were going to be losses due to their relationship that we've built with farm to school, but also farm to plate legislation, where we have these local connections that Representative Matt Byron talked about. Those farmers need these outlets still. This program is going to help restaurants stay afloat by circulating money through the restaurants to buy that food, to pay employees to produce the food, and to distribute this food to hungry Vermonters. That keeps dollars churning through our economy in a very creative way. This financial assistance will help get them through these challenging times when they cannot serve as many meals as they need to stay open. So we're putting Vermonters to work to feed each other. This program recognizes the challenges that so many Vermonters are facing due to the loss of employment, both restaurant employees, some of whom will be able to come back to work, as well as the thousands of Vermonters who are food insecure, over 70,000 now, that has risen because of COVID-19 and the economic pinch of us trying to stay home and stay safe. This program recognizes the valuable partners that we need, identifying those who are in need, and making all the connections within Vermont that we do with our mutual aid groups, with our collective community spirit, to solve the challenges that are in front of us. This program has sparked further conversations about how we can further connect farmers and restaurants and consumers. All of these groups are vital to our state, and of course our restaurant and hospitality industry is a huge sector of our economy. One idea that we should still continue to explore going forward is that if some restaurants struggle to stay open or can't stay open or reopen, whether those facilities can be used as food processing centers and storage facilities so that Vermont can be more resilient going into the winter and maybe the spring if and when this challenge continues. We have to be planning for those realities, and this is one way that if we explore another creative idea, we can be more resilient in the challenges ahead of us. I'm incredibly proud of the work that we've done. It was a collaborative approach. Legislators, restaurant owners like the Adlers, and Michael working at Skinny Pancake, farmers. This is Vermont, and we can come together and continue to work together for this economic, health, and safety future for our businesses, for our citizens, and for our employees. So thank you for being here today to talk about this, and we open it up to any questions for any of the collaborators on this incredible project. Sally? Yeah, shift meals was incredibly quick. And I want to say one of the things that happened is we have business owners who stepped up faster than you can blink an eye. We had nonprofits step in because they're much more flexible and nimble than government to help bridge some of the funding situation. But it also is recognized that nonprofits and donors don't nearly have the capacity to sustain a program like this that's going to be necessary over the course of this year. And that's where the early restaurateurs, the early funders helped get it started, and legislators collaborating with all of those partners has helped make this into a fundamental program. And that's one of the realities of where government can do more as a collaborator and a funder and a network builder than can always be done long-term with the nonprofit and short-term incredible work that these businesses did.
So essentially, this model was sort of created, or a beginning form of it, and you guys recognized it and have now allocated $5 million for this.
Absolutely. You know, Vermonters are an incredibly creative and ingenious lot. And the legislature is a reflection of Vermont and often gets its best ideas from Vermonters from all across the state. And when there's a good thing, you want to replicate it and really help it blossom. And I really credit Representative Byron and Representative OSullivan for really helping lead the charge in the legislature. And it was from hearing about what Skinny Pancake was doing with shift meals, and I called the restaurateur that I knew in the legislature and said, Matt, do you know about this, and is this something that can be done farther across the state? And the wheels just spun faster and faster from there. Do you want to answer? Do you know what the plan is for rollout, Michael? Go ahead. I don't know if we have to change the mic real quick, but, or you can just speak
I can just
loud.
chat. So currently we're the only restaurant involved. We worked with some restaurants early on, but we really had the amount of resources and employees to actually get it going, and we had some early seed money from nonprofits and donors who were able to keep it going. The plan for the legislative rollout, and the legislation can talk more about it, is that there'll be 10 larger restaurants to receive a majority of the funds and help coordinate the logistics around delivering and distributing the food, and then some smaller restaurants that'll be able to take part and receive compensation for the meals they're delivering.
Stuart, on our website is the testimony, and in Jean Hamilton's testimony, and I can, when I get home, I'll email it to you. But it outlines the entire program. Perfect.
They've not been identified yet. I can jump in on that. They've not been
So as far as the restaurants that are being conversations have started with a couple of them through some other nonprofit organizations. So some restaurants have been reached out to by Shift Meals. We have contacted one restaurant in Vergennes, which is Hired Hand and Bar Antidote, and that actually contact came through our Vergennes area Boys and Girls Club, who during COVID has really picked up the much needed slack and expanded their meal program from the Boys and Girls Club beyond that, and has seen their daily meal output grow, I think, times 4, ballpark-ish on that number, and has been mostly volunteer-based through the staff at Bar Antidote and Hired Hand, and a little bit with my staff from Three Squares Cafe. So through this connection with the Boys and Girls Club and the awareness of this program, Shift Meals and our Boys and Girls Club are in conversation of having one of the hubs be in Vergennes with Bar Antidote. So the pieces are falling into place. We're targeting to roll it out in a couple of weeks.
David, assuming the pandemic recedes past January, were you between the state next governor, what sort of budget proposal, policy proposal might be set for them?
Well, certainly this is a model rollout, and I think we will clearly know a lot by January in terms of so many changes. If we think about what's changed over the last 4 months, to predict where we're going to be 5 months from now, 6 months, 6 months from now, I think would be a bit foolish. But what we need to do is have examples like this that we can look to and see what worked and what didn't, and then continue to adjust and either expand it or adjust it and expand it, so that if there continue to be restaurateur challenges, employee challenges, struggling hungry Vermonters, we will have the concept in place to quickly ramp it up if we need to. I mean, this is one of the things that I really think is amazing about this is each dollar that goes into the program is automatically spent 2 or 3 times right here in Vermont. And if you want to talk about jump-starting an economy or helping Vermonters with their individual economies, that's one of the key ways to do it. We can fund things where a dollar goes out of state pretty quickly, or in this case, fund dollars that's spent right here. Money to a restaurant, to an employee, who then is going to buy food in Vermont. Money to a restaurant, to a farmer, that's then going to pay an employee in Vermont. And in the end, the food all goes to Vermonters. So it's a multiplier effect that is the kind of model that we need to be looking at in all the different ways that we spend our state dollars. In fact, another topic is prevailing wages. You know, we've talked about this before with state contracts, where we want to hire either Vermont companies or at least companies that are going to hire Vermonters and pay Vermont wages and prevailing wages for the region when we have state contracts in a range of things. So it's not just around food. Anything else? Thank you. And yeah, grab folks individually if you want. So appreciate your coming, and enjoy another beautiful day.